I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to and what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought.
I can tell you that 7 years after Freddie Gray, that was 2015, spring, April, May. This is 2022. Communities like Sandtown, all we saw then and now in terms of investment was a renovated Western District Police Station and a new funeral home. That's what West Baltimore got. A new police station and a new funeral home. What kind of optics are they? Was Freddie Gray any different than 1968 Baltimore riots? Dr. King's passing, killing, murder? This is the same?
No, it wasn't. I mean, I think, well, first of all, people who are being violent and burning, that's, all that's the same. But the point is what was the cause and what were they attempting to register?
I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns.
I love you.
They deserve an ounce. It's
got next.
It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking
First name's Donnie, last name's Glover, in it to win it for the long haul, baby. We should be joined by Marsha Jews. I'm not, let me see how you're doing. Are you there, Marsha?
Yeah, but I'm not showing up.
Okay, well, I guess you'll be the audio. But listen, we have Professor Larry Gibson, and he's a law professor, lawyer, political organizer, historian. We don't have author in here. He currently serves as professor of law in the University of Maryland at Baltimore, where he's been on the faculty for 38 years. More than that, let's just bring him in. Professor, can you take me back? How are you? Welcome.
I'm fine, and this is my 49th year on the faculty there.
49th. So they've got to update. Okay, we got to update that Wikipedia entry there.
Okay.
Take me back to 1987.
All right. What year? What happened in that one year?
Was that the year that Baltimore got its first elected black mayor?
Oh yes, that's right. I had a little something to do with that. Yes, that's the year that Kurt Smoke was elected mayor of Baltimore. Absolutely, and I had the pleasure of being his campaign manager.
So I'm feeling a tad melancholy. 1987, 2022. It's what, 13, 20, 13, 15, 25, 35 years. 35 years. First black elected mayor of Baltimore, first black elected governor. What thinketh you?
Well, I think as an 80-year-old man who is today just enjoying the moment.
Oh, come on. You're modest. You are the legend.
A moment. Let me just tell you why. I mean, first of all, what we have accomplished here in Maryland, but I am probably certainly equally ecstatic almost about what did not happen nationwide. I mean, we all did not know a week ago from today what kind of country we would be in. There was a lot of predictions. There were many predictions, and it looked pretty dire. And it looks like the nation has dodged a bullet. We still have an awful lot of work to do, but many of the most extreme candidates did not win. It even looks like we could continue to control the Senate, which is very important because that's the body that confirms federal judges. And and even with the House, there was a much smaller, if any, loss of representation for a midterm of the party in power. So I am ecstatic with the results.
So the difference, is there a difference? Is this a crescendo 2022 compared to 1987?
No, it's continued. It's progress. It's continued progress. In 1987, we elected the first African American mayor of Baltimore, and this year we just elected for Maryland our first Black governor and our first Black attorney general. And we already have in office an African American Speaker of the House. The treasurer of the state is a brother. So I consider that progress, dramatic progress. And so as someone who's been in this a long while, I think I can recognize progress when I see it. I ran my first citywide campaign in the city in 1968. And so that was Joe Howard. And
From Iowa.
From Iowa. Judge, we also ran Perrin Mitchell, but we lost that time, but we came back 2 years later, and Perrin was elected Congress, and I was pleased to be the campaign manager of a whole ticket of Black folks who won. Allen Murphy Chester. Milton Allen was elected the state's attorney. Billy Murphy's father, Bill Murphy Sr., was judge, and Paul Chester was elected the court clerk. And so that was 1970. And we've had ups and downs, but I am enjoying this moment right now to see what we've done nationwide. We're essentially leading the country, and I guess it's no surprise to it. We've done this out of Maryland for most of the time that we've been in this country. And remember, this is the state of Harriet Tubman. This is the state that produced Frederick Douglass and Thurgood Marshall and Clarence Mitchell and Noah Macmillan. African Americans in Maryland have provided leadership in this struggle, and I think that's going to continue.
If Thurgood Marshall, you wrote a book about the life of Thurgood Marshall. If he were here today, what would he say?
He would be pleased about some of the developments, but I have been writing lately about the disappointment that he would have that we have to continue to fight this voting rights battle. People think of Thurgood Marshall's most famous case as being Brown versus Board of Education. That certainly is his most famous, but he regarded as his most significant case a case that was 10 years earlier, 1944, his voting rights case, Smith versus Allwright, that declared unconstitutional the exclusion of Blacks from Democratic primaries in the South. He thought that was his most important work. And then after he had left the NAACP, served a period of time as a federal appellate court judge on the Second Circuit, he then was the Solicitor General of the United States for a couple of years under President Johnson. And the Solicitor General argues, and his office argues cases on appeal in federal courts on behalf of the United States. And one of his, without a doubt, he repeatedly, one of his greatest pleasures in that position was arguing the constitutionality of the Voting Rights Act. And he would be chagrined to see how this current composition of the Supreme Court is dismantling that act. So he would be happy with the elections and some of the progress, but he really thought that was a battle that had been won. He knew that there would be other battles, but from 1944 up until the Voting Rights Act of 65, I think that Thurgood thought, well, at least that's taken care of. And he would be actually distressed to see that we are again having to fight the legal battles around voting rights.
Where are our civil rights organizations, leaders in this voting rights battle?
Well, I'm seeing lots of organizations and people. Before, it was just a handful of major groups, but the leadership in so many respects are, and not just in civil rights, it's more fragmented. We've got the social media and all, but I'm seeing young people involved in movements and bringing about change at a rate that I didn't see growing up. There were always young people very much involved, but now you have a higher percentage of folks involved. That's a positive development from my perspective. I'm excited to see folks like you have your own radio program. And I remember the first time I heard I'm going to go over here and create a radio station. This was like around 1972. I represented the entertainer James Brown and all of his business interests in Baltimore, and one of them was radio station EBB. And Diamond Jim Sears was the station manager. And we hired this young man with this good voice from Turner Station named Kwais Infume. Back then, that seemed like a funny name. I mean, we've gotten accustomed to those names now. And you remember at Webb, you set, it was in Walbrook Junction, and you set in a picture window, and the people could walk by and see what we called then the disc jockey. But Kwais wanted to keep talking about social issues, and James Brown just wanted to, spin the records. So ultimately, Infume, I don't know if he technically was fired, but anyway, he left the station. And I'll never forget what he told me. I don't care about that. I'm going over here to Morgan and create a new radio station. I never heard of anything in my life. I knew you could create radio stations, radio stations were just there. and that's what he did. And that was the beginning of WEAA. And so these young people now, of course, neither Kwais and I are young now, are like you. You go on and create. Well, you've continued to create things. I mean, I've been amazed at you for years with this creativity. I'm going to start something new, and so you got.
But you opened the door for me by supporting Kurt Smoke. That all of this journalism started right here in Sandtown, Winchester, which Mayor Kurt Smoke put a hell of a lot of money, time, and resources into, and I wrote for the newspaper here.
I remember that, but I didn't understand it. I'm not even sure Kurt understood it. Y'all were talking about something. It seemed creative and seemed like it would be educational. And some of it was, okay, we'll support you. And maybe as you do it, we'll learn what you're talking about. that was the, I remember that period. You and other just creative young folks, and we like to act like we followed what you were saying, but most of the time we did not. we knew that you were being creative, and we hoped it would work. It didn't seem like it was going to get anybody in trouble, and so we said, go for it.
The Democratic Party, from time to time, you kind of had to chastise me for swinging on the Democratic Party. Are you pleased with the progress as it relates to inclusion? This is the first Black governor since the state was founded 1788.
I don't think
234 years.
we'll never be pleased in the sense of, if you mean by satisfied, pleased, recognizing that there's progress, but there's much more to be done. There's two things. There's not only much more to be done, but we've got to be vigilant because things can go backwards also. So it depends on what you mean by the word please. There's much more that that can be done and needs to be done. And the Democratic Party is one vehicle by which we can get some things done. It's not the only vehicle by which we can get some progress. But yes, if I think that certainly the alternative is not helpful, which is the Republican Party. There is now, and there will be for the foreseeable future in this country, only those two major parties. And, there are the minor political structures that get created, but the way our laws, our tradition, our government is set up, there are going to be two major parties, and there's no doubt that there's one that's more supportive and more of us and more including us than the other.
Your
But
two biggest
no,
your two biggest wins were both Rhodes Scholars.
yes, but there's progress in many, many, many places. That young man that ran for and got elected to Val Demings' seat in Florida. I mean,
Was it Scott?
I'm
Oh,
trying
no, in Florida.
in Florida.
Uh-huh.
Florida. I can't remember his name right now. So there, yes, we've had Rhodes Scholars. Kurt was a Rhodes Scholar, and they get to pick among the most promising young people in the nation, in the world, I guess, as it relates to the Rhodes Scholars. So one would expect them to do well because the selection process almost guarantees that they're going to be highly motivated and highly successful young people.
So when we look at this next generation, how do we keep their hands clean?
Well, I don't know how what we can do to guarantee that, except to continue to remind them that the way down, one can fall very quickly. And I remember you mentioned Kurt Smoke. Just think of this. 12 years running the city government, not one ounce of a scandal, not just as it relates to the mayor, as to any of his cabinet people, as to any of his boards or commissions, but it required a vigilance. I was very much involved with him, and so there are things that I had to be careful about. I mean, I lost law partners because my law firm decided that we would not represent anybody against the city of Baltimore, anyone who wanted to get something from the city of Baltimore. And there are things that people approached us about representing them, and we just declined to do it. So you have to be vigilant, and
that says a lot, Professor. With all due respect, and I'm not, putting you on a pedestal. I remember when Mary Bubala raised the question about Black women mayors, the last couple of Black women mayors and the challenges. And she ended up getting kicked off of Channel 13 and shifted over to Fox 45. She raised the question, essentially, is it time for a change from Black women mayors? And it's just a god-awful, ridiculous question because no one has ever asked about the white male county executives in Baltimore County. But be that as it may, we sometimes are still wrestling with the evils of the past.
Well, there are occasionally folks who make mistakes, but when you look at the history of Black political leadership in the state and in Maryland, there have been many folks involved, and but they're occasional, and it really is occasional folks who make ethical mistakes. But
But they choose to
that doesn't happen with black folks. That's an unfortunate occurrence across the board.
But you've been in politics for at least 4 decades or so, no scandal. And see that you turn down money.
Oh yes,
you turn down money.
Yes, there's no question. It started really in 1970. I'd been a fairly successful criminal lawyer, but I was the campaign manager for Milton Allen. And once he became the state's attorney, I stopped practicing criminal law in the city of Baltimore. Now, that I wasn't required to do so, but it just seemed to me that if I'm the lawyer for the prosecutor, there would be times, I'm sure, when maybe some of his assistants or others would sort of treat me differently, maybe even more favorably than they would someone else, because I'm the state's attorney's a lawyer. So I discontinued my criminal law practice, in the city.
Do younger politicians seek you for advice? I certainly would. You certainly have given us food right here. And again, I'm not putting you on a pedestal, but we've gone down for $15,000, $35,000. I'm a small business. I'm not going to jail for no thousands. I might call you if it's millions, but you're not going to catch.
I know many of the political people in the city and many of the elected officials. Occasionally they ask for my advice. I mean, I teach election law. I've taught that for decades. And so they are my students. I mean, the current president of the state Senate is a student of mine. I've had students of mine, one governor, a couple, one or two mayors, and many other people. In fact, there are some people who have taken my election law class and said up front, I'm taking your class because I plan to run for office. That's happened multiple times, and they do, and that's. But I do remind them that anyone who's a lawyer for themselves has a fool for a client. So I still tell them, if you're the candidate, you get yourself another person who to be the attorney, who will tell you and your campaign manager, both of you focused on getting elected, what's necessary to not get yourself into legal trouble.
What impresses you the most about Wes Moore?
Oh boy, how persistent he was in getting me involved in this campaign. It delayed the publication of my book here now 3 times. It's not going to come out till next year. This process began, I guess, September or so of last year, and Kurt Smoke is the one who sicked him on me. And I said, look, man, you got a lot of people around here, and you don't need me. But the truth of the matter is, I wanted to finish this book. I mean, it's a repeat of what happened with Kurt. When Kurt started running for mayor, I had some travel planned, and I tried to talk him out of running for state's attorney, his first election, partially out of his interest, but partially out of my interest, because I knew if he ran, I was going to have to help him. So I couldn't talk him out of it. And it took me how many years to get rid of Kurt Smoke? Two elections for state's attorney and 3 for mayor. Well, then he turns and 6 Wes Moore. Now at this point, Wes Moore was maybe 2% in the polls. I mean, he was way down. I mean, Rashawn Baker was the leading black candidate in the polls. So he was persistent. And then as I got to know him, I learned more about that he was bright, that he would listen. Also, a few years ago, I've repeatedly promised myself that I'm not going to get involved in more dumb run campaigns. Campaigns of people who mean well but won't pay any attention to what I say. And so Wes and I had to talk an awful lot before I got conclude that I could have some impact. But I remember to the day when I sort of made a decision. On March 22nd of this year, I was 80 years old. Now, I've been talking with Wes off and on, but I hadn't committed. I hadn't endorsed him or done anything. I took a little trip with my wife to Florida and made a decision. Okay, I'm going to do what I can to help this brother out. And I'm glad. I'm glad that I did.
You find Dawn more impressive?
Hmm?
You find Dawn more impressive?
Oh my Lord, she's a superstar. She's a superstar also. Dawn is bright. Of course, she had more experience running campaigns and in the politics of it, and so he really had a lot going for him personally, and also from the perspective of his family. And his mother, Joy. I don't know if you've had a chance to meet her.
Absolutely. She's a genius.
She is quiet, but just bright.
Assassin, the quiet assassin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, she is. Yes,
I mean, she's an award-winning PR person, to my understanding.
Yep. So he had good people with him, and he was willing to work hard. He was willing to listen and learn, and he's genuine about this leave nobody behind. I kept talking to him about that because he started that talking about in my very first conversation. And it's you hear it the first time, you figure it's just a slogan, and then you hear it the second time. And so finally, I just said to him, well, if that's your thing, let's put it on your sign. He had a sign that just had his name on it. I said, that's what you really mean. Let's not only put it on there, let's put it on the top thing across your side. Then I had to decide, find an unusual size. I don't know if you notice, his lawn signs are wider than most signs because you got this slogan across here, leave nobody behind, but leave no one behind. So he went along with that, and I'm sign crazy. So what's the man?
When did you sense that there was a shot? What was it the Washington Post endorsement of Perez?
No. It was clear to me that West could win, and probably sooner than that. I would say the absolute turning point that said, "Oh, we've got this," was when Rashawn Baker withdrew, and all of his people moved over and supported West. I mean, we owe a lot to Rashawn Baker, a good friend I've known his entire political career. But at some point, he realized that if both of them stayed in, that neither he or West would win. And his withdrawal from the active campaigning and the releasing of his supporters, almost all of whom, maybe all of whom, went over and began supporting West. Once that happened, I knew we had it.
Wow. Now, see, I thought you were going to say with the fundraiser report where West demonstrated his prowess in outraising the field.
No, I've seen a lot of people spend a lot of money and lose elections. I'll guarantee you that wouldn't have decided it for me. That let me know that he could raise money, but that was demonstrated much earlier. There were things that he did correctly. He just, first of all, just the energy level. He campaigned hard. He and has a genuine affection for people. People like him. He likes being with people. All of those things were important, but still structurally, it would have been very difficult to win with Rashawn Baker in the race and without strong support from Prince George's County.
But he knocked him out. He took the county exec. He had the county exec, Angela also Brooks.
Sure.
She's the boss down there.
Yes, yep. Now, that was quite astute on his part and very courageous for her. I mean, she was one of the earliest people of elected officials to endorse him, and she did so at a time when a former county executive, Rashawn Baker, was still in the race. And Rashawn's a long-term good friend of mine. I remember the first hearing about him. My good friend Wayne Curry told me that there was this young person that he thought had a lot of potential, and he was going to support him. I think I don't remember if it was for the county council or for the legislature. And I'd never heard the name Rashawn. He said, Rashawn. I said, say that again. And it took a while to learn, the name. But he is a prince of a person, and I've great respect for him. And I supported him when he ran for governor.
Well, we finally got the incomparable Marsha Juice in, and
Marsha.
just as we're winding down.
But I heard most of it.
Okay.
Let me just say this to you, Professor Larry Gibson. Thank you so much, first of all, for being on the show and giving us the history, because history is really important. The Sankofa bird reminds me that you must know your history to be able to see your future. The past really impacts where we are today. And as I sit and look across this nation and the problems that we've had with our people trying to just survive, children getting abused in the street by our locals. And as we look at this new generation of politicians who are in leadership, my prayer is, how do we continue to communicate with them so that we can resolve the issues that our young people are having, not only in Baltimore, because they're happening in a lot of other places across this nation. How do we then develop those relationships where there's a serious case of communication, where we're talking and our leaders can hear what we're asking? What are we supposed to do as citizens to make certain that at every level, political level, we are dealing with people who are going to be honest with us and be open to that communication?
Continue to do what you and Donnie are doing. You're using the airways. You're creating new programs. You aren't just trying to get on to some program that already exists. You guys keep creating new tools. You use the internet. I can't keep up. When you invite me on, I've got to tell you, send me some kind of link or something so I can figure it out. And each time there are multiple platforms. I don't know exactly what platforms are, but you guys have, y'all have mastered it, and you're using those tools. And I one advantage from teaching. I've been teaching law since 1971, so it's over 50 years. Every year, my students are the same ages. And so I've got constant in touch with 22, 23, 24-year-olds, and they teach me.
Do you listen to their music?
Oh, I listen to their, oh yes, I listen to their everything. I mean, when
name one of their artists.
I'm gonna stop all that.
Yeah,
I advertise, when I advertise for student research assistant, I guess they expect it now. It says, who wants to teach an old dog new tricks? That's the first line of my advertisement at the school for student research assistants. Who wants to teach an old dog new tricks? And I learned so much from these young folks. I mean, that is an advantage of teaching. It's like they're teaching me, and I try to teach them some things. But
that's powerful, though. That's powerful. You got to meet them where they are.
And then the two of y'all, so y'all are like young people, younger people, both of you. because you're both into creating new devices, new platforms, new structures. You don't just try to decide, I want to get on this program. I'm going to create the program. I mean, I grew up, people didn't create programs. They didn't create stations and all this stuff. And so I'm just amazed at both of you. Donnie was the first that I recognized. I mean, years ago, and half the time I didn't even know what he was talking about. But it was new. It was a new way of communicating. It was creative, and it was going to be provocative, and you had to be careful because Donnie's mellow. You know, by now, Donnie would have had in his earlier days a gotcha question. I mean, you get on there with Donnie, it would be going on pretty nice. Would he either plan this mine that he would then spring on you right in the middle of the thing? So that's
Professor, ain't no telling what it would be.
Professor, we have gone over it, Tad. I want you to say hello. Where's this lady at? Add her to the stream. Cynthia? There we go. Professor, we have with us, this is Cynthia Brooks. Her mom was the patron saint of Baltimore, B. Gaddy. She runs the B. Gaddy Center.
This B. Gaddy's daughter? Oh,
wow. I loved your mama, girl.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Professor Gibson, what an honor it is to be in the same.
He loved your mother.
Wow. To meet the Professor Larry Gibson. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Talk about patron saint. It doesn't happen in politics unless Professor Gibson reigns in it.
No, I got to talk a little bit about your mother because she was a pain. She was clear that she was going to get everything out of you that would benefit somebody poor. Money, food, etc. It wasn't nothing for her. And she was dogged about it and unabashed about it. And you knew that none of it was for her. She was just had another little group over here. And sometimes, I mean, there was the group things, but then there would be these little individual things. You know, B would have some person who's having some sort of difficulty, and she just ease up to you, and can you help this person? And it was she was amazing. I loved her. But that actually sometimes you see B coming and you just weren't quite ready. You go a different way because it knows going to cost you something, but it's going to cost you something good to help you do some good for somebody. But sometimes you're selfish and you want to get along, and you're not ready to be as charitable today.
And you know what? And she would make you laugh because you'd have to do whatever she said. She just said it like she was your mama. She wasn't my mama. She acted like she was my mama. Tell me what to do.
Her hand in your pocket.
Right, you didn't care.
But it was never for her.
Professor, I gotta ask you, B. Gaddy, when she won that city council race, she did it without the support of a political organization. She did it with community support. Any thoughts?
Doesn't surprise me. I hadn't wasn't recalling that, but now I am. But yes, she had an army of people that she had directly, personally benefited. They are the group things everybody knew about it, but there was another separate, individualized group of people that she just looked out for and she helped.
So Cynthia, you're carrying on that work. And Professor, I just wanted to make sure you had a chance to acknowledge her. She's going to tell us about this upcoming dinner here, but we had to,
thank you. I gotta get to my day job. This is we have the annual judicial reception where we try to get judicial law clerk positions for our students. So I got to get down to the law school and do some matchmaking.
All right.
Stand on your shoulders, Professor.
Right.
Thank you.
Professor,
all right.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you. Nice meeting you. So
Thank you, sir.
how do I sign out? What do I do?
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening.
Thank
Hi,
you, Miss
Judy.
Brooks.
Hello. Hi. Good afternoon. Hi, Donnie, and thank you for giving me this platform to think to speak about what's our upcoming 41st Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, wow.
And as usual, and I think it's well, every year is worse, but this year, yeah, we're going to take it all the way to the door begging, because the economy is not helping and it's slowing down everyone. Rent, we're going to be, I feel as though we're going to be ready on Thanksgiving Day, but it's going to be a road to get us there.
What do we want people to go to the website?
Yes, go to the website, please.
And what's the
Big
website?
Gaddy,
BEA-Gaddy.org.
B-Gaddy.
B-Gaddy.org.
That's where we want them to go to. No phone number.
410-563-2749.
563-2749.
And we're at 425 North Chester Street.
425 North Chester Street.
Mm-hmm.
I'm digging this natural you got going on, girlfriend. I'm digging this. Silver Fox.
And I did that because I've lost so many friends in the past couple years.
Yeah.
And I realized I'm blessed to have gotten to the age that I am.
Yeah.
Amen. This information right?
41st. You got 42nd. 41st.
Oh, my bad. That's why we asked. This is real-time correction. 41st. Let me tell you something, Marsha. You know, there's certain people in this town that I ain't gonna say I'm scared of, but you make sure that they good before you go to sleep. You one of them, Marsha G's, because you know you the threatening type.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but Cynthia Brooks, she ain't never had to threaten. She just give you that look, and don't ask about the wrong candidate, because she'll give you a look, and she might cut you too. Don't mention the wrong political candidate. Don't mention nobody who ain't got no serious track record.
What?
She will dice, slice. Woo,
I bet you those looks are like what your mama used to give. You got it from your mama. Because your mama had some looks, girl, for real. She didn't play with people.
I think I did. I think I've got my love of the Lord and politics straight from her.
Yes, you did. You know? Plus, you're a soldier. Tell me about that. You're a soldier. You're a veteran.
Yes.
Oh, what branch?
Army.
I love it.
Retiree. Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
How come in the movie when I see some of them times they salute, their salute be whack? It be all, the salute is supposed to go right here.
It's intentional.
Why? They don't want to imitate the U.S.?
Right. It's intentional. All of that's intentional. Because you don't know who's watching, so you let them think that's how it's done. So you just let them think that's how it's done. All up here, blah blah. Yep.
Oh, that's interesting.
I was raised by a soldier. Ted
Really?
About face. All right. Mm-hmm. So what can we do? What can we do to get ready?
We need donations. We need food. We need volunteers. Mm-hmm. Right now, as of today, we have about 500 seniors that are shut in their homes that are asking us to send them a meal. So we need, food for that. We need food for those that's going to come out and eat the meal.
Is the Corvette Club coming this year?
They've already come. Baltimore County Corvette Club came out on the 29th. We did a COVID shots for turkeys event. And it was nice. It was beautiful.
Why do you continue this, Cynthia? And why don't you just go on a beach and get an umbrella, drink, and call it a wrap?
Because number one, I'm my mother's daughter. And it wasn't until at her funeral when we found out when they played a video, and she said when she could no longer do this, her children would take her place. She gave us kind of a mandate that we were like, is this what she really was thinking? And as Blacks, one thing we don't really capitalize on is continuing legacies. My mother's legacy was a good one. For it to die when she died, it would, to us, it meant what she did was in vain.
Cynthia, you have told me numbers before. How many people have come through there on a given Thanksgiving?
We're gonna feed about 50,000 meals that day. So
Marsha, did you hear this?
Are you serious?
Marsha, she says it so nonchalantly, Marsha.
Where are 50,000 people coming
They
from?
be lined up.
we send out food. There's people that's in line, and we are now, COVID changed everything. And we became one of the biggest Grubhub, DoorDash services on Thanksgiving Day. Because what people don't understand about Marylanders and Baltimoreans, they want to step up and help. And we will have hundreds of volunteers taking food out and taking it to the person at their door who couldn't come out. And we don't expect the big crowds because people aren't doing a lot of crowding and eating inside. But we hope people will come back. We hope they come back, and we hope that they come out and enjoy the meal. But for those that can't, we pray that they ask us to send a meal to them.
Cynthia, what are you guys doing throughout the year?
We feed every day. People are hungry, not just at Thanksgiving, but throughout the year. So we assist with food and clothes and shelter throughout the year. What you don't see is us doing it. You don't see cameras. I don't think there's a need to show everything that we do.
Hold on, Cynthia. You mean you don't remember? You're not like the young people. You don't take, the selfies with.
Number one, people have their dignity. So when they're coming to you because they can trust that you're going to help, not exploit. If I take a picture of a person, it's their back or from their waist down. But I don't need to show.
Unidentifiable.
I don't need to show you what I'm doing. I don't need cameras and trying to pressure people to help me, to help somebody else. That's just not real to me. But that's just me.
Do you have a lot of, I know you're a nonprofit, do you have a lot of people in the area that are donating foundations?
No, just a few. I'm sure that we have a lot of return donors that will come through for us. And but we get, how can I say, we have to share the spotlight with other organizations that they're bigger than us.
Yeah, they told me. They said that they told me if you're looking for an East Side politician, all you gotta do is go to B. Gaddy on Thanksgiving.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Johnny, what does that mean?
What does that mean? Would you care to explain?
Yes, Johnny.
Yes, we're waiting.
Maybe y'all back then you didn't want me. Now I'm hot. You all on me. Like where you at in March? Where you at in July? Cynthia says she's feeding people all year long, but on Thanksgiving they got hey, let me move this out the way because I need to be seen. Hold up, get out the way. There we go.
Uh-oh.
Thanksgiving,
you go pump your chest.
Thanksgiving, they got aprons on. They serving it. They like cheese. Don't forget the picture.
You are funny. You are funny.
Well, truthful.
Yeah, where they at?
Straight up, girl. As you know.
Truthful.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, but you know,
So what would you like our audience to do for you right now?
donate. Make this dinner possible. Help us make this.
No, we said for you. Don't you need somebody like send you to dinner at like what's your favorite restaurant?
Uh, I would never ask for something.
All right, fine.
Well,
We just come and kidnap her, Marsha. See, she
Right. Cause
wanted a
see,
different
he had to go through all that.
This is Santa Claus,
You
and you tell her
know.
what you want.
But we
Oh,
all did we were
now
there
you
with
don't
you.
know who
And
Santa
I'm over
Claus.
here on the east side, miss.
I look forward to working to meeting you one day, Miss Juice.
Hey, but you did. Are we doing a get together in Little Italy again?
Where?
Remember we had a planning meeting
Down there at Remix.
Mhm.
That is the plan. Well, we hope to.
Okay.
But they're restructuring. You know, they
Okay.
lost one of their business partners.
Yeah, the
earlier
brother
this year.
Steve, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a great segue. Other businesses can get involved.
Yes.
So if people want to be a part, they want to do
Let's
whatever.
say
They want to bring food. They want to do a caravan. I want to see caravans. Are we going to see the Baltimore County Corvette Club again like we did before? I need to know.
I would love to see every motorcycle club, every
The car clubs.
car
Where the
club,
car clubs at?
every whatever club roll through starting Monday, just every day. What I ask is that you stop at 6 because for our, unfortunately, for our safety, we're not in there past that. We're not there. It's just not safe. And that's a lot of reasons why we've lost a lot of the regular people that would come down and donate. We had a lady in Harford County, she wanted to bring a turkey, but she said she was scared because she was going to get murdered if she came down.
Oh, you mean the perception? That's because Fox keep putting out these stories that's all that goes on here.
Right, that's all.
It's not
Yeah.
that. I live
Well, it
in
was
San Fran.
offensive.
Don't nobody bother me.
I live in East Baltimore. I walked all over this city.
Then you ain't supposed to be stupid like walking out late night all by yourself, wearing gold chains and carrying Macy's bags and all of that. I mean, don't go out there asking to get stuck up. Baltimore will oblige you.
Yeah, they'll give you what you want.
They give you what you want.
Whether you want it or not. Because it wasn't what you were thinking you were going to see. That's a whole nother it.
Yeah.
That's a whole new world.
I love East Baltimore.
Yeah, me too.
Why?
Number one, because it's the home of the Dunbar Ports.
Go Poets!
And it's home. That's what home is.
I think I'm over here because I lived on the east side of South Bend, Indiana. So I'm just comfortable east side. I'm an east side girl. I've just brought it to Baltimore.
Yeah.
East Baltimore got a code. There's a certain code. There's a code in East Baltimore. Over west, the code vacillates. It fluctuates. But over in East Baltimore, there's a code. And family.
Yeah, period.
Yeah.
There's a code.
I just wish we would understand that code means that you don't harm your family. There's a 13-year-old girl is struggling to live right now because someone didn't get that message. And I work with her great aunt every day.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Cynthia, I got to ask you, where did your mom find the patience to deal with us?
I I think she was just crazy.
JD Howard says she could go up in a hole and call homeless people by name. Daryl, Tyrone, Joey, come on out, get something hot to eat. Got some blankets for you.
She was blessed to have a spirit of giving, patience, tolerance. She just understood more than most that she was her brother's keeper.
All right, before you go now, I need you to tell me one of the funny stories from childhood.
Okay, well, let me see. The very first Thanksgiving, when she had won, Marsha, she played the Maryland State Lottery for 5 nights, and she prayed to God that if He allowed her to have Thanksgiving, she would share it with as many people as she could.
Wow.
So she hit the number every night for 5 nights, and for a whopping $270. She prepared Thanksgiving dinner, and then she stood in her doorway and invited people in to come eat with us. We're sitting there eating dinner with total strangers.
I love it. That's powerful. That's
Total
so
strangers.
powerful. She was
Some of
about
us
love,
wouldn't feed Jesus.
because that's what it is. And the most
Some of us
important
wouldn't
thing
feed
is
Jesus.
love.
She fed 49 people that Thanksgiving.
That's amazing.
Is it true she gave up her bed to let somebody sleep
She
before?
would. The police department would bring homeless women to her, and there'd be no place for them to sleep. And she
One
would sleep in
day
a
when
chair.
I was lost,
Hmm.
down on the cross.
The beauty is that you have these fond memories that have assisted you
It
in
was the
carrying
blood.
on her legacy. And it's so beautiful because you could have done a million different other things,
Yeah,
right?
I
But
did.
it's in your blood, girl. It is in your blood.
It's in our blood. We
And
just choose to ignore it.
Mhm.
I thank God that it is. And
Yes.
because I could have been born to anyone, but God allowed me to be born to her.
And that's a blessing, girl.
Mhm.
That's a blessing. We're going to have church in here in a minute.
Oh, yes, please. Let's
Mhm.
Father, in the name
Thanksgiving
of
Mhm.
2022.
Almighty God, we ask that you bless this 41st annual Big Gaddy Thanksgiving dinner. Bless Cynthia,
Amen.
bless Marsha, bless me, bless the team over at the Big Gaddy Center. Bless those out there who can help somebody who might be experiencing hunger. We ask these blessings and we promise, Lord, to give you all the praise and all the glory. And thank you. God bless the memory of B. Gaddy, the patron saint of
Amen.
Baltimore.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
In
you.
Jesus'
Amen.
name,
Amen.
amen.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Donnie, thank you.
Your smile says it all. Says I'm just meditating on the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. I see you smiling. I see you smiling when you got some reason to be, ready to cut a Negro.
I thank God for you, Donnie,
You
and
my
all you
friend.
do for Baltimore to help us
You help me.
stay focused and guided.
I remember one year you said, Donnie, come over here and get a turkey. And we so busy sometimes thinking about everybody else. I hadn't even thought about that. But I listened to what you said, just to follow, just to be obedient, not block your blessing. Sometimes
Yes.
we be blocking people's
No
blessing.
question.
Yes.
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 Thank you for being a blessing to me. And big ups to our main man, Gregory Branch, the Tally Ho Foundation.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Done
Thank
for
you
life.
both.
Marsha Jews, any final thoughts before we bounce?
Yeah, just thank you for continuing the legacy. We just really appreciative, and I'm going to give you a call later to see how
Yes.
we can be supportive.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
You all
This is
take
4
care.
o'clock news. This is the unnews. Remember the uncola? This is the unnews. We gotta do our own thing. Black USA. Thank you
No
very much.
question. All right.
Good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, love.